Again, I'm Vicki Proctor. I'm the outdoor program team leader from the Dayton and Lima office here in Ohio, Girl Scouts of Western Ohio. And I am coming to you from Conover, Ohio, out in my own cornfields, out in the country. And one thing we like to do is find out where you all are from. And it's kind of fun to see all over the country. And if you have any questions as we go through this, just type them in there. And if my buddy that's 2 hours up the highway, up in the far frozen tundra of Ohio, can answer them, she'll answer them. Hi, Becky. And if not, I'll get on afterwards and I'll answer your questions. So it's a little windy, so I'm going to try to yell a little bit so you can hear me. So a question for you: how many out there have used bow saws or have used hatchets? I'm always interested to see how many people use those. So this is Traditional Monday, and one tradition, well, traditions, a lot of traditions in Girl Scouts, and I think in the past, back, years ago, when we'd have to go out and set up, more primitive areas, or areas that didn't have a lot of the amenities we're used to today, we used to actually set up our own campsites more, and we would have to kind of get a fire area, fire circle ready to go, and then obviously to cook we'd have to cook out, and to cook out you need some wood. And I think it was a week ago I did some pocket knife work with you all. So now we're progressing up to saws and hatchets. So today you're going to learn the safe way to use saws, safe way to use hatchets. Boy, they make camp life a whole lot easier. And the younger you are to learn these, the better off you are. Now, daisies probably don't want to go out and chop wood or anything like that. But I think if you're ready and you're cautious and you follow rules, go out there and use. So we're going to start with the bow saw. So this is what I'm talking about. Bow saw, hand saw. There you go. And this is a one person. There are two people ones. But anyway, you have a handle, you have the top portion, you have the blade. I have a different model. One thing nice about this one is if this blade gets dull, all I have to do is pop this open, the blade comes off, and I can replace it. And you can buy these just about anywhere. Walmart, hardware stores, you name it, you can do it. This one is a little bit, not harder, but you have to unscrew this. And this has not been taken well care of, so I can't even undo that. So look and see what kind of saw. And then also, besides just a bow saw, there are other neat saws out there. This is a fun little camping saw. You can push a button and open the blade like that, and then you close it. So anyway, all sorts of neat saws and things out there. So one thing about a bow saw is if you throw it in your car, you're walking around with it, you have it in all your stuff, the blade is sharp, so you have to be really careful. So a lot of times when you buy these, they'll come with a little plastic sheath on them, and those are real convenient if you're like me and you have no clue where your little plastic sheath is. You can get garden hose and slit it, and you can put the garden hose on here. That protects it. Worst comes to worst, just get an old t-shirt or a couple bandanas, wrap it. You just want to have it where if you accidentally grab it, you're not going to have saw marks, okay? So, to carry. So that's kind of an important part, is I'm going to try to demonstrate walking with this. I see a lot of people grab the handle, and they were just walking along, swinging it like this, and all of a sudden, boom, you accidentally hit your leg, and now you have saw marks on your leg. So the best way is to carry it like that, but hold the blade away from your body, or hold it here and away from your body, okay? You want to have the blade pointing back, because if you do fall, the sharp end goes down in the dirt. So away from your leg, try not to swing it, okay? So That's how you can safely carry a saw. So what saws are good for? A lot of different things. So you can saw up logs for your campfire, saw up branches. It's really easy, and I'm going to show you with just myself. A lot of times it's easier sometimes if you have a buddy, if you're sawing something long, they can hold or help you stabilize it. So I'm going to disappear for a minute and turn my page. It's windy out, so I have to make sure this doesn't fall over. So to saw, the easiest way is to get it up off the ground. So I'm going to show you here. I've got a really nice branch, and I've got a log here. Just happen to have a log. So if you go to a campground or your camp or something, there's always a log, there's a seat, there's a bench, a picnic table. It's easier if you can get it up here. And what I'm going to do is, I'm right-handed. Just take it in my right hand, and I'll put my left foot up on the log, and I'm ready to saw. So hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to get this about where I want to saw it. I don't want to try to saw clear out here. I want it right here where the pressure is right against this log. Now if you have buddies, they can hold that stable down there. What you don't want to do is, I'm ready, get your hand here and start sawing. Because once you get started, this can skip. And now not only do you have it in your hand, your leg, but now you have part of your hand missing. So anyway, so keep your hand away. So keep it over here or don't even use it, but I can stabilize this. So what you need to do is hold the blade onto the wood, have the top of the saw right over that blade. Sometimes people get wonky and go back and forth, and that's not good for the blade. It's going to twist it. So we're going to do just a little bit of a groove. You might have to just do this a couple times to get a good groove going. All right, so now what happens is, a lot of times, I'm trying to move back a little bit, we get ferocious and go, yeah, I love sawing. And you're only using about 2 inches of the blade. So you have this long 1.5 foot blade. So get these nice long strokes. I'm gonna keep on going until I get this log off. Now I've seen some demonstrations where, to keep your hand out of the way, some people put it through the saw like this, and then that way it's not going to skip once you get in there. I've never seen that before and I've never done it, but it looks kind of interesting and it's safer than having your hand here. There we go. So that is a whole lot easier. That's a hardwood, so this is a piece of cedar. So anyway, you can saw to your heart's content around your fire and get little pieces as big or small. Yeah, put that there. You can also, let's say you don't have a log, or like I had, but you have maybe a bigger log down here. You could put this on your log, have your buddies stand down here, and again, that would work just the same. So if you can prop it up, what you don't want to do is saw this right down on the ground where you're sawing your log, your grass, your dirt, your rocks, and you're getting your blade you're not keeping it very sharp. Okay, so let's see. The other thing too is, it doesn't hurt if you wanted to have a glove on, to saw. That's a lot of wear and tear on your hand, and you could get blisters, so gloves are great. All right, any questions? So again, start with a little groove, use your whole blade. When you're done, put your saw up, put your sheath back on or your garden hose, or wrap it in your t-shirt, and you're all set and ready to go. So we're going to hang that over here for now. The next thing that we're going to talk about are hatchets. And I just want to show you some different kind of hatchets. Another name for hatchets is a hand axe. Axes, I generally think, are the real tall things you go out and you chop these big logs with. So a hand axe or a hatchet. Now, I don't know if, see, it's getting windy. I see my computer bobbing up and down. This is just like really weird, to be outside chopping and you have a computer sitting over there. But anyway, so one of the activities that we do at our Girl Scout camps is we actually throw tomahawks. And tomahawk is a correct name for it. And those are a lot of fun. But people seem to think they're the same thing. A tomahawk, a hatchet, you can throw hatchets, you can chop with tomahawks, and they're really totally different, okay? So I'm going to show you some of the hatchets. So this is one hatchet. This one could be double for a hammer, so you can chop on one side, hammer on the other side. There is a little groove here that if you need to rip open something, you could take out a nail. Kind of a multi-purpose, and this has got a wooden handle. Another one doesn't have all the fancy things on it. It's just a regular, just a head, and a little bit of a curved handle here to make it a little easier to hold. Okay, so there's one kind. This one is pretty much the same, only this has metal handle and then a rubber place where you hold it. This works just exactly the same. I'm probably more of the traditionalist. I think a hatchet should have a wooden handle, but that's just me. So there's that. And then also, if you're doing maybe a little bit smaller work, you can go and get one of these. You can buy these at Walmart or wherever for, I don't know, 12 bucks or so. Comes with a little sheath, and I'll talk about those in a minute. So this is just a cute little hatchet. It's got paracord on the handle. I guess you could take that out if you're in a survival mode or whatever. But this is really lightweight. It's very thin, doesn't weigh anything. So I'll show you what that would be good for. Hatchets, most of them start with sheaths, and that keeps them protected, or keeps you protected, or both of you. And you can make those, but one thing about hatchets, it's a lot like pocket knives. And to chop, you want a good sharp blade. So pocket knives, if you have a dull knife, you're working twice as hard. If you have a dull hatchet, you might as well just get a hammer and try to chop with it. So I want to show you how to sharpen one. So somewhere here I have a whetstone. Probably takes a little bit bigger one, but I just have a small one. We talked about sharpening stones. Whetstone is like an old way to call it. I'll come here closer so you can see. So you want a really nice edge on here because you need to chop. And I'm going to take my coarse edge here, and what you're going to do is go around in a circle, but you're going to not lay it flat. You're going to tilt it a little bit so I'm catching the very edge. And you're just going to go around, and you're going to do that for a while, and then you want to make sure you flip it over and do that side for a while. Now this is how you spend, your evening sitting around your campfire sharpening your tools after you've chopped all your wood. So the other easy way to do this is if you know somebody that has a grinding wheel, they can just go and it's done. But I can, again, like kind of the old-fashioned way. So I think that's pretty good. So then you're probably going, oh, how are you holding that? How are you carrying that? And I'm carrying it incorrectly. So a lot of safety issues with this too. So again, I see a lot of people walking around like this, and what do you think that's going to do? Right over those saw blade cuts, okay? So there's a couple ways. I have this old Toolcraft flip chart here. It was from GSUSA back in 1954 or 56 or something like that. And they show them carrying it right here with the blade kind of back behind you. And I think that's okay as long as you tilt this out away from your leg. And then if you were to fall, it goes out in front of you, blade goes down. The other easy way is to take your hand, put the handle in between, okay, carry it like that. Looks a little better that way. So now, again, keep it away from your leg, but you gotta have full control of this. You're not really swinging. And again, if you go to fall, your hands go out, you fall down, blade goes into the dirt, okay? So you want to just be very careful with your hatchet. Okay, so we talked about sharpening it, how to carry it. the other thing you don't want to do, I see a lot of people, they'll be chopping, and then I'm going to walk off for a little bit, and they pound it down into the ground, and off they go, and then later, you know, in an hour or 2 or 3 days later, they go, oh, my hatchet. So you really don't want to do that, because that'll dull it, and it also, this will rust with any moisture, so you just want to, you know, keep it in good condition. Okay, so I am going to move all this stuff. So there's a lot of things that you can do with the hatchet that you can't do with the saw, and I'll talk about that stuff later. But one of the things is you can, so how many of you have gotten, like, you know, the branch, you're gonna make a toasting stick, you know, you're gonna do marshmallows and make s'mores, and this is the perfect green stick, but it has all these branches on it, and if you're like me, you've gone and you've tried to rip them off, and some of them come off, and some of them are really hard. If you have a hatchet, this is a great use. So just go kind of with the grain and just slide your hatchet right down, and there you go. You can get all those branches off in 1 or 2 fell swoops. And then if you get down to the bottom, and then I want to chop off, I can put this on. There you go. Oh, look at that. Didn't even mean to do it, but now I can get 2 marshmallows on there. Yes. And now you can take your pocket knife and carve that up. So that's a real easy way to get rid of all those little branches. So that's one use of a hatchet. Let's see, another use. Let's say you've got some wood. You want to make a little bit of tinder, and you don't have a whole lot of dry stuff around, but maybe you've got some boards from home. I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to move this for the time being. So you can put this up against something. You don't want to hold it or anything. And I can take this, and look at that, 2 pieces. So lean it up against something, and then just voila. So can't do that with the saw. There we go. I'm good. Feels like Monday. Oh, it is Monday, isn't it? So anyway, so you can do that. Another way to chop or to split some wood that's not horribly big is if you have a piece of wood just like this, and you go, you know, I'd like to chop that in half because I want to use it for something or whatever. You can get ready to chop. Now, when I'm going to chop, some of these little things haven't been a problem, but if I'm ready to chop, I want to make sure that my buddy is not like right here, and if I miss, they're going to go. So I want to do, I can hold the head here or just use my hand. I'm going to do a safety circle, okay? I want to make sure there's nothing in my way that I'm going to hit. You want to do it above you because there could be a tree hanging down, and when you go to chop, you could get that caught and it falls on you. So anyway, so nobody's in my safety circle. Now a lot of you think that maybe I can just go, yeah, and chop that in half. And believe me, I'm not that coordinated. So what you can do is lay your hatchet. I'm going to find there's a little split in here already. I'm going to find that little split, and then with both of these, I'm going to raise both. Look at that. Isn't that cool? So try that again. I have another piece here. There's a little split right there. Now, if there's not a split, then just lay it on there, and you might have to, for a couple times, I'm going, there you go, got a little bit of it off. Okay, so that's another way that you can use a hatchet. Can't do that with a bow saw. All right, so now you can move this out of my way. You notice I have this perfectly good log here. So here's how you chop. So there's a proper stance. So I want to be able to spread my legs, my feet way apart, because you don't want to chop like this, because what's going to happen? Boom. See, you get all kind of wounded with these skills here. So you want to do it safely. Spread your feet apart. That way, if you're chopping and you miss, it's just going to go right through there, okay? You want both hands on the hatchet, and you're ready to chop. You want to lean over, and then you go for it. Now, if I do that, it's probably easier if I go get that hammer and chop on it. So if I go straight down, I'm not going to do anything. It's just going to get a little sawdust. I want to take this and go in a V. So I'm going to chop a couple times on one side, chop a couple, and then what I'm actually doing is taking big chips out of there. That's the mistake, is a lot of times, and you can't really do this sitting here like this. You got to use those muscles. So anyway, feet spread apart. None of my buddies are around. I'm ready. See those chips flying? So, I think I'm hitting the computer and everything. I can imagine going to work saying I destroyed my computer because I was chopping wood, but I'm sure they would understand because it's me. So anyway, as you can see, I'm trying to hit at the side and hit the other side. Now, you've been watching for about 45 seconds watching me chop. Got to catch my breath. Not that I'm out of shape or anything, but the downside of chopping like this is you see how much effort it goes into it. But it is a lot of fun. You know, if I had something a little smaller, that would be great. Let's talk about something smaller that rolls around. You're like, I got to stabilize it. A lot of people say, I'll put my foot on it. Well, obviously you don't want to do that because you don't want your foot to go. So if you have a long log, you could have your buddies stabilize it way over and well out of your reach. Or you can actually take stakes, pound them down in there, put one on one side, one on the other side, and that'll stabilize your logs. So just some of those little tips, once you get to doing this, you learn. But I think everybody needs to use a hatchet at least sometime in their lives, okay? So, all right, let's talk about, we're almost out of time here. Bring my stump back over here. Okay, so let's talk about the pros and cons of saws and hatchets. Whew, getting hot here. I worked up a sweat. They talk about when you chop wood, you use it twice for heat. Once when you're chopping it, and then once when you're using it. So anyway, pros and cons. So with saws, so the pros with saws is if I were just where I was chopping, use my saw, I probably could have been through that already. Okay, so chopping takes a while, so saws are a lot faster and you use a whole lot less energy. It really just takes kind of one arm as opposed to your whole body. And you can do all sizes of wood. I did this size, I did this size. I could trim off a little bit of my, my stick for my marshmallow. Though, I couldn't take the branches off. But so, and then if this does get dull, I can just flip it off here, take the blade off, put the new one on, and voila, it's sharp. Okay. The cons to this is obviously I can't split any wood and I can't remove my branches. I mean, I could, but it just gets it's not as easy. And then again, while the pro is I can just change the blade, the con is sometimes you buy them, you can't, and you can't really sharpen this. I'm not sure I would know how to sharpen it very well. So that's, once it's dull, it's dull. Unless you can find somebody, but they're a whole lot cheaper to buy and replace. So that's the pros and cons to a saw. Let me flip my page one more time here. All right, for a hatchet, pros and cons. So with the hatchet, you can split wood. You saw us split some. You can remove brush really easy. I think that's where this little one, if you're having to remove brush, this is really lightweight. So, younger, if you're junior age or something, this would be really great for you to use. It's lightweight. That won't chop very well with this because there is hardly any weight to it. But And then you can sharpen this a lot of different ways with a sharpening stone or with a grinding wheel, so you can keep it sharp. And if you have them, most of them you can use them as a hammer, kind of a multi-tool. So a lot of pros to the hatchet. The con is, if that's your only tool you have to chop, it does take a while. It takes a lot of energy and effort, and it just takes a lot of time to do that. So there's your bow saws, there's your hatchets. If you have any questions, then go ahead and type those in. Becky might be able to answer, and if not, I'll get on afterwards and go through these with you. There's a lot of resources out there, so if you kind of forget the rules or want to brush up a little more, oh my gosh, just Google how to use a hatchet, and there'll be 100 different YouTubes and videos to watch. How to use a bow saw, there'll be a bunch there too, and everybody has neat little tips and tidbits, so just go on there to review. And there's also a lot of written information. If you're in Girl Scouts, or if you're not in Girl Scouts, there's a lot of books out there that have a wealth of information. And I like to just show, this is an antique, and this is a flip chart toolcraft, and it's really kind of cool because this shows you how to use hatchets and saws. It's really kind of fun. Gives you a lot of neat pictures of things, how to carry it. So a lot of stuff like that out there to use. So once you saw and chop, you can make fun little things like this. It's just kind of an exciting thing to have the skill.